Hello YouTube, welcome to my channel. My name is Courtney and this is Courtney in Books. If you didn't know, today is Talk Like a Pirate Day. At least today when I'm filming it is Talk Like a Pirate Day. I really hope that I can get the video out on this day, but it might come out tomorrow. But no matter what, I am giving you guys 5 pirate romance recommendations. I'm probably going to be adjusting this throughout the video because it is a very poorly made corset that I made in like 6 hours for the Renaissance Festival here in Arizona when I had nothing else to wear. I didn't use patterns because I typically know my body really well, so I can just eyeball things. But in this case, I put the straps in like such a weird spot. So when I'm actually wearing this to like fairs and stuff, I will actually like pin it to my bra strap, which doesn't look great. So I might just remove the straps entirely because they do this. They do this and then just like adjusting it all day long. Arr. International Talk Like a Pirate Day. I actually can't do a pirate accent. It's one of my nemesis when it comes to accents. I can do Australian accents, I can do English accents. Pirate accent, not so much. I guess like I can kind of do a Cockney accent, but I don't know, for some reason I start going all weird. My speech gets all weird and twisted and I start going into other accents when I try to do accents I don't technically know how to do, and it just sounds so stupid. Now, a Scottish accent, that's one that's really my nemesis. Okay, let's get into it. Let's get on with this list. A lot of these I actually read really recently because after getting out of a reading slump, I just went on like a reading rampage, which is what happens when I'm in long slumps. I feel like my brain needs to catch up, and so I start like reading everything and anything I can, and that's what I've been doing this month. I think I've read like 16 books this month, and we're only like a little bit more than halfway through. So a lot of these I did read very recently. Some of them I did not. Some of them are a little bit older reads. But I'm gonna start in no particular order as usual. I'm gonna start with Pirate's Passion, and I just talked about this because it was in my 3-month wrap-up. It is about Keegan and Charlotte. Now Keegan is a member of a band, and I can't remember what this band was called. It was something super generic like the Scallywags or something like that, and they are a pirate rock band, and it's in modern day, and our girl Charlotte is a historian and she loves pirate history, and she also loves this band and she's a huge fan, and she ends up getting kind of mixed up with them, and she finds out that these men in this band are actually real pirates from like the 18th or 19th century or 20th century, I actually can't remember, but they are from the past. They are technically immortal because they drank from, I forgot this in my other video too, my brain just like shuts off when I try and think about it. I believe it's the Holy Grail. But so there's this relic, and it's kind of like the Fountain of Youth, you know, where they drink out of it and they become immortal. So these are immortal pirates, and they are looking for the Holy Grail in order to take another sip and restore their immortality, because I guess it kind of like fades after a while. And he meets Charlotte, who's a historian, and she knows lots of stuff. And she, like I said, gets kind of mixed up in all of this, finds out who they really are, becomes more of a fan because she is a historian, so meeting real pirates is kind of like a dream come true for her. And in their quest to find this Holy Grail, these two grow increasingly close with each other. And he is immortal, so obviously he has that whole, you know, only one night stands because everybody dies, and so I won't be able to keep her forever, so I can't get attached. And she's sitting there going, I can't get attached because he's immortal and I'm gonna die. Things get resolved as they do in romance novels. There's always a happy ending. That's kind of what defines romance. And so these two just like end up together, and it's super cute. And I thought it's kind of Indiana Jonesy in the way that there's like, you know, a lot of action, there's relics, and there's all kinds of things going on, but then you have this like sweet love story between Keegan and Charlotte, and it's worth a read. The next book that I've read, and this is another one that I read very recently, and it is called Owned by Pirates. This goes down a completely different direction than a lot of pirate books go, because it is super, super sweet, and the author, Haley Travis, stresses the point that it is not historically accurate, so don't go into this thinking that it's historically accurate, but it's just really sweet, and I really enjoyed it. So Owned by Pirates is about this girl, and her name is something I can't remember because I didn't write it down. But she is very sweet and innocent, and she's very young, but still in this time period considered a spinster, I believe. May or may not be getting that mixed up with another pirate book that I'm about to mention, but she lives at home with her father. She has no suitors yet. Her father wants to desperately get rid of her, but he also hates her so much that he spreads all these rumors, so nobody wants to marry her. And so she's stuck at home, being verbally and physically abused by her father, who just wants her to disappear. One day, a ship full of pirates shows up at their town, or at their docks, and she's walking home and she sees one of the pirates, and he's just so naughty and rugged and handsome, and he gives her a little wink, and she goes home, you know, thinking nothing of it besides the fact that he was super hot, and gets into an altercation with her father, a verbal altercation with her father, where he's like, you eat all the food, you're just a waste of money, I want you gone. And eventually he's like, you know what? There are pirates down at the dock, and pirates are bad guys, and they will buy you if I sell you to them. So he takes her by the arm, or he tells her to get like into her nicest dress, takes her down to the docks, and he's like, I'm selling my daughter to you. The pirate captain who winked at her just kind of like falls head over heels for her at first sight, sees how awful this man is and her father, and decides he's going to pay a good amount of money to take her off his hands, and brings her onto the ship. She's got nothing. She has no luggage, she has no idea what's going on, she's very distraught about it, and he is like, you are so sweet and I'm going to protect you forever. And so he puts her up in his cabin because he doesn't want his other men to, you know, eyeball her, because ships are unsafe for women. Of course, his ship seems very safe for women because everybody's super sweet to her. But anyways, so she bunks with him. So they're already sleeping together like day one. And because she was a seamstress where she came from, she ends up making herself useful by making new clothes and repairing clothes for the crew. And so it's kind of a found family situation where she gets to know the crew really, really well. And our captain, I'm gonna say Samuel. I want to say his name is Samuel, but that might be completely wrong. But he is just, again, he's so head over heels for her, and he just wants to protect her. And she's this sweet little virginal, like, woman who's never seen the world. And so he just wants to protect her. And again, it's super sweet. It's adorable. There's nothing horrible, like, dark about this whatsoever. If you want a sweet, somewhat short romance that has pirates in it, this is a good one. The next one on my list is a little bit, actually all of these are a little bit different. I got a lot of different things, and I'm actually kind of excited. I got a really good variety. Enslaved by the Ocean is #1 in Criminals of the Ocean by Bella Jewell. And this is different because it features modern day pirates. This is, when I read the synopsis and I noticed it was modern day pirates, I was actually a little bit hesitant because honestly, we've romanticized pirates, you know, from the old days. They were not good. But nowadays you see pirates and you hear about pirates and they're really gross. And so when I went into this, I was like, there's no way that someone made modern day pirates sexy. Okay, so Bella Jewell did. Okay, so you have Hendrix and you have Indigo. Indigo is on the run from her husband, who is a very abusive husband, and I can't remember if she's going to the US or going to the UK, but she's going to one and coming from the other. I just can't remember which one it is in the book, but she's on a yacht running from her fiance, trying to disappear. This yacht at some point, and she has a friend with her, like a guy friend. One second. This yacht at some point catches fire. Her and her friend are forced to get on a lifeboat when the ship sinks, and it's just the two of them in the middle of the ocean with no way to call for help, no way to get back. They spend a few days on the ocean, enough to where she's like really, really badly sunburned, they're very, very dehydrated, and the ship rolls up, or floats up, and this really angry looking dude is like, get on my ship. And they obviously want to refuse because they're very clearly pirates, but they do get on the ship because what choice do they have? This Captain Hendrix, who is super sexy, like this girl mentions that he's sexy the moment she sees him, even though he's a horrible criminal, and it's very clear that he wants to do horrible things. But anyways, She gets on the ship, she sees him, she's half dead. He immediately is like, I have a debt to pay, I'm gonna sell you to the guy to whom I owe this debt. So she becomes a prisoner, and so does her friend. They try very desperately to protect each other, but they're just basically thrown into a prison hold. Let me tell you though, this is a darker romance because Hendrix is not good in the beginning. Like, he has good qualities, you find out later, but Hendrix is a pirate and he is looking to sell her, and he has no good intentions when they first meet. He actually does hit her, he strikes her at some point in the book because she tries to defy him. So if you have triggers along those lines, then don't read this book. They do end up falling in love because it is technically an enemies to lovers, but again, let me stress, he is not like a knight in shining armor in the beginning of the book. It takes a while for him to warm up to everything. And anyways, so she's trapped on this boat, and obviously she wants to survive, and she doesn't want to be sold to some random pirate to be used as a sex slave, so she ends up coming up with a plan. Once she is nicely, like, she's showered, her sunburns have kind of faded because she looked absolutely horrendous when he brought her onto the boat, she starts trying to seduce him, to appeal to his humanity. And one of the girls on this ship, because he has two girls on this ship, one of them, the nicer of the two, decides to tell her to do this. She's basically like, why don't you appeal to his humanity? Make him not want to sell you. So she does that, and in doing so, obviously, Hendrix actually starts to develop feelings for her, and she actually starts to develop feelings for him. A lot happens in the book, you know. It takes a long time. It's a little bit of a slow burn when it comes to Hendrix warming up to her, because there are a few instances where he decides he wants to use her, but then he still intends to sell her. So just be aware of that. There are also some really goofy moments in this book, and I did realize in one of the reviews that somebody mentioned there were so many instances that were just so coincidental that it was really hard to believe. And I was like, well, it's fiction. Of course there's going to be a bunch of incidences that are hard to believe. But it's true. There are a lot of instances where it's like, really? And I did read the second book as well. The second book is so similar to the first book though, so I was going to put it on the list, but I decided not to because, again, the structure and everything was so similar that I just wanted to recommend the first book. And if you guys want to read about modern pirates who are morally gray, possibly morally black, then it's a good book. The next one on the list, okay, I loved this book. So this book reminds me of like an old romance film, and I can't remember what the cover looked like, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was actually Fabio on the cover, because that's just the feel of this. It was very classically romantic in my opinion, and that is called Ship of Dreams by Elaine Leclaire. And it is about, I believe it's a standalone, but it is about Rosalind. She's arranged to marry a dude, and she doesn't want to marry him. She obviously, like in a lot of these situations, she wants to marry for different reasons. She doesn't really care for the guy that she's about to marry, but she is on her way to either meet him or do something like in this marriage arrangement. And on her way, they are attacked by pirates. And one of these pirates is the pirate captain of this ship is the infamous French captain. His name, I believe it translates to Death Angel or Angel of Death, or Black Angel. It's Black Angel because they mention in the book that they translate it wrong from French, and so all the English call him Angel of Death, but actually if you translate it correctly from French, he says that his name is the Black Angel. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. But anyway, so she is captured by him. She's very defiant, and he kills a lot of her crew, I believe, but he does spare quite a few people. She and her governess, or her handmaiden, jump into the water to try and escape them, and they try to make for this island, which is honestly just a very stupid idea because, like, what are you gonna do on the island anyways? But she just desperately wants to escape these pirates because, you know, pirates do bad things to women. So they're escaping. He rows up on his boat and he just kind of laughs at her and he's like, what are you doing? She reluctantly gets in the boat. She lies about her identity because she is actually a very important person, so, you know, ransom is a thing. So she lies about her identity and she says that her handmaid is her sister to kind of hide who they truly are and where they're truly going. So he takes them onto the ship. And he really just, is interesting because he just wants her company. Like, he keeps stressing the fact that he wants her company, and the crew keeps stressing the fact that if you give him good company, not necessarily sex, but like if you give him good company, he'll be nicer to the rest of us. See, he's got like a temper problem apparently, and his crew just really wants her to, you know, soften him up a little bit, but she is so reluctant. She's heard so many things about pirates. Pirates are awful. He killed a bunch of people. She does not like him. She's very defiant, and she just defies him at every turn and makes him so angry, and their relationship kind of bounces back and forth with that kind of feel where she's kind of always annoying him and always, you know, tapping into his angry side, but there's always this sexual tension between them that I thought was really awesome and like really well done. He is French as well, so there's a lot of French intermixed with this in this book. I know quite a bit of French and I can read quite a bit of French and understand it, so it was really, really easy for me to go through it. I'm pretty sure it's going to be really easy for somebody who doesn't know any French whatsoever as well, because when they're speaking French, the author makes it English, but lets you know that they are speaking French to each other. But anyways, their relationship, there was so much like sexual tension, like I'm saying, it was a slow burn. There was a lot of getting to know each other, and again, the tone of this book was just so classically romantic, and that's different than a lot of stuff that I read, and I just fell in love with it. I thought it was so fun, and it was so romantic, and it was so everything. Like, I just really liked it. It was more classically piratey than I think any of the other books on this list. The next book that I have, actually the last book, because I have a couple honorable mentions, but this is the last book on the list, and that is A Pirate of Her Own by Kinley McGregor. This was, I had no idea what I was getting into when I started reading this book. Obviously I knew it was about pirates, but it was, again, it was a little bit of a different feel in terms of pirates. So you have Serenity, and she's basically a reporter. But obviously in a time period where women weren't taken seriously, so her father owns a reporting company or newspaper or something like that, and she likes to report on things, but people don't really give her a chance because she's a woman. And she knows about this pirate, or sort of pirate. He kind of is a good pirate, like he's done bad things, but he's known for freeing people from pirates or something like that. It's something good that he does that really captured her interest, and she really, I think he's called the Wolf, like the Gray Wolf or the Wolf something, I can't remember. She is super, super intrigued by him. She's a big fan. So when he comes ashore, she ends up recognizing him, which he doesn't want, obviously, because his anonymity is like his armor. And because she recognized him, he gets very, very nervous about it, and then one of his crewmates ends up kidnapping her. She was wanting to sneak out and go find him anyways, like she dressed up as a boy to go and find him to interview him for a story. But while she's doing that, one of his crewmates finds her, bumps into her, she knocks herself out, and brings her onto the ship. And they're like, well, this is the girl you wanted, right? Well, I kidnapped her, so do whatever you want. And they can't return her because now she knows all of their identities, so they end up taking her with them. They kidnap her, and she cannot be more thrilled because she wanted to be on the ship in the first place to do, you know, reporter research. So she decides to go along with it. She's obviously a little bit scared because in this day and age, oh my god, I'm kidnapped by pirates. When I go home, I'm a spinster already, and now people are gonna think all these scandalous things and my life is ruined. But she's also super excited about it. She has a huge, huge crush on Morgan, who is the pirate in question. She's got a huge crush on him. So, you know, it's this proper young lady who has kind of, you know, subconsciously been wanting adventure. And now she's on this ship with this pirate who's just swashbuckling, and he's a bad boy, and he's sexy, and she's a big fan, so she is crushing hard on him from day one. He gives her his cabin, again, to keep her away from the rest of the crew because she's a lady. And so they have this banter between them because she, you know, is interviewing all the crew, getting to know the crew, and while she's doing that, she gets to know him, and the two kind of grow closer, but at the same time, he treats her like a woman of this era. You know, women can't do anything, why are you here? Like, you know, women are just so delicate, and she gets offended every time he says something like that. So their banter is just really cute. It was a she irritates him, but also he loves her for it kind of situation, and he irritates her, but also she can't stop thinking about it or about him. And I just thought it was really cute. There were so many like instances between these two where she just like purposely got on his nerves because he got on her nerves, and then they're just like yelling at each other, but then there's sexual tension at the same time because she has a huge crush on him, and he ends up having a huge crush on her very early on when she's on the boat, but he's conflicted, and it was adorable. Their back and forth was great, and it was just, everything was cute. These steamy scenes were really well done in my opinion. Like, they were sexy scenes. Even the tension when they were just thinking about each other and not doing anything, I thought they were really well done, so it was really, really entertaining. Highly recommend. Before I go, I have a couple of honorable mentions. Sometimes I do include alien pirate romance in these lists, but I decided I wanted to go full pirates this time. But I do have an honorable mention, and that is Space Pirates Prize by Sydney Sommers. This is a space pirate romance, not aliens. I actually thought it was aliens to begin with because I'm not used to like space stuff not having aliens in it. I'm a big alien romance fan, so obviously I was like, oh, so this guy's probably blue and he has probably like horns or something. No, I'm pretty sure he was human. So we have this woman, I'm pretty sure she's like the space equivalent of the FBI. Her name is Kayla, and she is undercover to try and capture some other criminal. And the way she is doing that is she is posing as a slave at a slave auction. And everything is going as planned. She intends to get bought by this man that she's trying to capture. She intends to get bought by him, but in walks this other man, this space pirate that she had arrested not long ago and kind of ruined his life for a bit. He walks in, sees her on the slave auction like stage or whatever, and he bids on her, and she's like, shit. He ends up buying her and ruins all of her plans, but turns out she's kind of had a thing for him since she arrested him, and he's kind of had a thing for her in the way of like, you ruined my life, but I also like really dig you and you're super hot and I've kind of been thinking about you this whole time. So he buys her, and I mean, the rest is kind of self-explanatory. She is technically owned by him. She's still wanting to fulfill her mission or her assignment as, I believe she's called a sentinel. So that, like, you know, she's trying to fulfill her mission, and he's trying to get in the way of that, but also there's so much sexual tension between them that they are denying. And again, this was a really well done relationship where you feel the tension between them from page 1, but it doesn't actually develop into something deeper until later, and it's kind of a lust to love situation, and I really enjoyed it. Even if there were no aliens, I thought it was great. The next honorable mention, and this is an honorable mention because it is not even out yet, but I am going to plug my own book shamelessly, which is a pirate siren romance. It is a dark romance, and it comes out October 15th. And so if you like darker themes, if you like dark fantasy, if you like pirates, if you like sirens, I highly recommend. I mean, it's my book, I have to recommend it. I want to recommend it. I hope you all read it. I hope you pre-order, because pre-ordering on Amazon helps me get a little bit more visibility when release comes. And I've just worked really, really hard on this book. I painted the cover myself. This is the first time that I did cover art myself on one of my books, and I'm just really, really excited about it. I put a lot of work into this one. I've released so many books over the years, but this one is one of those releases that I'm just really, really excited about. So I am recommending my own book. Go to my website if you want to know more. And yeah, so that's my honorable mention. Those are all the books that I have for you guys today on this Talk Like a Pirate Day. I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you want more recommendations like this, subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get to 700 subscribers, and unlike everything else that I try to do myself, I can't do this without you guys. Hit the like button, comment, below if you have any pirate romance books that you want to recommend. If you want to find out more about Wicked Tides or any of my other books, subscribe to my mailing list. My website is below, and I have tons of things going on. I have so many giveaways that I'm doing on social media up until the release. I have pre-orders on my website. I'm actually going to experiment with spraying book edges today as soon as my supplies arrive. So maybe I'll post something about that because I'm super excited. Until my next video, I love you all. Thank you so much for watching and happy reading. Bye!